Hare Krishna, we will start the last section of the 18th chapter, verses 67 to 78. So Krishna, Arjuna now will accept Krishna's instructions. And then we go back at the end of the Gita to Sanjaya, who is speaking to Dhritarashtra, who tells him, who recites him the whole Bhagavad Gita, which by the mystic power, by the empowerment of Srila Vyasadeva, we could hear that. And Sanjay predicts victory for Arjuna because he surrendered to Krishna, who is the master of all mystics. But now we will hear verses 67 to 69, which is still part of the supreme instructions of Krishna. What Krishna wants us to do, our service, main service. So go to verse 67. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na sasusave vacham na samam yo vyasuyati. This confidential knowledge may never explain to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me, that who are not austere or not devoted and who are not engaged in devotional service. So Krishna excludes here the non-devotees from understanding the Gita. That Srila Prabhupada also explains in the purport. He says, actually, the purpose of the Vedas of the Gita is not understandable by those who are sensuous, he says. If one is sensuous, but even when one is sensuous, but is following the disciplines enjoyed in the Vedic literature, is not a devotee. He can also not understand Krishna. But even if one is not sensuous and follows the prescriptions of the Vedas, but if he does not become a devotee, he cannot understand that even if one poses himself as a devotee, but one is not engaged in devotional service, he can also not understand Krishna. So at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada concludes, there are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad Gita, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of the faithless understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. And there is a quote on this, on 67. Let's see how long it is. So many quotes on 66 also. Very interesting quotes. It's a very long quote here, but we'll read the first paragraph. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knows very well that there will be many rascals who are envious of him. Because Bhagavad Gita is a very popular book of profound knowledge, everyone is trying to prove his own theory through the medium of the Bhagavad Gita, whilst including Krishna. They want to kill Krishna, they are demonic. Anyone who tries to kill Krishna is a demon. So to warn devotees about this demon, this sloka was spoken by Krishna himself. Now the next verse. Yaidam paramam koyam mat bhaktas abhidasyati bhakti mai pramkritva mama veshata samsayam. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotion service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. So that's the way to attain pure devotional service. Reach this supreme secret. At the end of the purport, it is said that Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Also, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that in the beginning of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. There he said, yes, that one should at least theoretically accept that Krishna is God, the Supreme Person. That's the least. It is a subject matter for the devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries to sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, will advance in devotional service and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result, such a pure devotion is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. So, yes, it will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional service, the state of pure devotional service. So, that is what Krishna promises you preach, what Prabhupada promises you preach, and you will reach that state of pure devotional service. You just must be sincere, trying to present it according to your realization. According to your realization. We don't need high scholarly realizations. That when in New York, the daughter of Malati was a few years old, and during the Sunday feast, she went to the guest and asked, "Do you know who Krishna is?" And when they just would say no, then she would say, "Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And Prabhupada said, "This is perfect preaching." So just sincere what we have realized. Now, verses 69 till 71, I will read the translation of these 3 verses. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence. Anyone who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. That is the verse here. Yeah, where the pious dwell. Then, in this purpose, Srila Prabhupada said, but yes, because Krishna says, don't preach to those who are not ready for it. But sometimes devotees give open classes, and not all expect to be devotees or wanting to accept Krishna. And many are maybe envious of Krishna and have no faith in Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada writes, if such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from sinful reactions, and after that they attain the planetary systems where the righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the results of righteous activities. Because going to the higher planetary system is not something we want, but they will attain it just by hearing Bhagavad Gita. So the pure devotee wants to give everyone a chance to become free from all sinful actions and to become a devotee of the Lord. Yes. Generally, those who are free from sinful action and those who are righteous very easily to take to Krishna consciousness. But generally, we should not preach to those who are against Krishna consciousness, who are very envious of Krishna. That, of course, the devotee wants to be more merciful than the Lord and will try sometimes, but it gets heavy reactions. That text 72, that Kashitita Shutam Parta Vaya Kaikrena Shetasha Kashita Hyana Sama Vanastaste Dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, conqueror of wealth, have you heard with an attentive mind, and are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So one who hears from Krishna or is representative of the spiritual master will find that all his ignorance are dispelled, gone. That he will become a liberated person and get out of the darkness. And what's the answer of Arjuna? Arjuna says, Arjuna, Vacha, Nastamo Ma Smriti Labda Vam Prasada Maya Shuta Stitusmi Gata Sandeya Karishe Vachanam Tava. Oh, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I've regained my memory by your mercy. I've now become free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So, yes, we are meant to follow under the instruction of the Lord, and that's our constitutional position, and Arjuna was representing that. So Lord Chaitanya said the actual position of living at is Gopi Bhakta Kamalaya. Das and Das and Das. We are the servant of the servant of the servant of the lover of the gopis, which is Krishna. And for forgetting this principle, we have become conditioned and we become the servant of material nature instead of serving Krishna. But if we start engaging in this devotional service, following Krishna's instructions, we become liberated servants. So in illusion, we try to serve this material nature to false ego, we become entangled. But if we voluntarily surrender to Krishna's instructions, that illusion will soon be dispelled. How can we become free from the illusion? Just say to Krishna, I agree to follow your instruction, and you follow his instructions, and you become a liberated person. So in this verse, you have Nasta Moha Smriti Labda, Moha, illusion. It's your illusion gone. So that word Moha is important. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge, ignorance. Actual knowledge is understanding. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And my relationship is a servant. That Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order, to Krishna's plan. Yes. And what was the plan for Arjuna? Krishna wanted to reduce the unnecessary increase of the demonic population. And therefore he agreed to fight for Krishna. Now the Bhagavad Gita is ended, but still Sanjaya will speak to Dhritarashtra in 74. Says Sanjaya Uvacha Ityaham Vasudevasya Partasya Samahatmana Samvadam Imam Ashrasham Adbhutam Romakshanam. Thus I have heard the conversation of these great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. So, yes, that this is, its hair is standing on end. Yes. If we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy and successful. Srila Prabhupada writes in the prophet. Sanjay realized this and he began to understand it. He related the conversation to Dhritarashtra. That in text 75. Vyasa prasada shuddhavan etakuyamaham param yogam yogeshparat Krishna saksat katayata swayam. By the mercy of Vyasa, I've heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So this means, this verse, that one cannot understand Krishna directly. One must understand it to the medium of the spiritual master, say by the mercy of Vyasa. So the verse, the spiritual master is the medium, is a transparent medium. He just repeats Krishna's words. So that's an important point here. So Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita directly from Krishna, but when our spiritual master is bona fide, we can hear Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna heard it. So we must just surrender to Krishna and we become the topmost yogi. At the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, actually there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. Spiritual master is the representative of Vyasa also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciple conducts a ceremony called Vyasa Puja. That is something all the disciples must do. Write an offering to the spiritual master and perform a ceremony on that day. 76. Rajan samsmita samsmityam samvadamidam adbhutam Eshavarayonai yo punyam rishani samuho moho. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Krishna, I'm struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Oh no, sorry, I skipped. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. Tasya samsmitya rupamat adbhutam mari vishmayami mahan rajan rishani sa punapama. O King, as I remember this wonderful form of Krishna, I'm struck with wonder and I rejoice again and again. Then the last verse. Yatra yogasvaro Krishna yatra parto danudara tatra shirvichayo pudir. Whenever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever it is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power and morality. That is my opinion. Now it's quite a long purport, but I will read a few lines, a few sentences of it, which are essential. So first, Sanjay told, oh Dhritarashtra, you are thinking of victory. But in my opinion, where Krishna and Arjuna is there, there will be all fortune. Of course, Dhritarashtra did not want to hear that. But that is what Sanjay said, his secretary. So some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral. But the reality of the situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad Gita is the supreme instruction in morality. The supreme instruction of morality is stated in the 9th chapter of the 13th verse, Manmana Parmad Bhaktu, 34th verse. One must become a devotee of Krishna, and that is the essence of all religion, is to surrender to Krishna, Sarvadam Pracham Mamikam Samvacha. From Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that to realize oneself, philosophical speculation and by meditation is one process, but fully surrender to Krishna is the highest perfection. The actual truth is that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the absolute truth is realized in 3 features. We remember the confidential, more confidential, most confidential knowledge. Impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have heard the Brahman, 1854, Brahmabhuta Pasyanatma. 1861, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam is Paramatma realization. In 1864, 65 to 66 is Bhagavan realization. So that's knowledge of the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the perfect knowledge, the perfect realization, perfect knowledge of Krishna. So we have heard 5 subjects described in this Bhagavad Gita that we may remember them: Ishvara, the Supreme Lord; Prakriti, material nature; Shiva, the living entity, the soul; Prakriti, then karma, the activities that we do, and kala, time. These were the 5 subjects that so we learned that nothing in this world is different from the Supreme Lord, but the Supreme is always different from everything at the same time. That's Asintya Veda Tattva philosophy. That's Lord Chaitanya explained, that inconceivable oneness and different. We are one with the Supreme Lord in quality, but not in quantity. The system of philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity in its original position is pure spirit. Is like an atomic part of the Supreme Lord. In other words, the living entity is situated between 2 energies. Therefore it's called marginal. It's between, although it's spiritual, it's marginal, it's very tiny, and we can connect with our consciousness with the spiritual or the material energy. If we connect with the material energy, we become captivated by the material energy. But we belong to the Supreme, to the superior energy, the spiritual energy. And by proper use of our independence, we become under the direct order of Krishna. And we attain our normal condition of the Dadini Shakti, the spiritual energy, the pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. And that is his prema, Krishna prema, this love for Krishna. So that is, I want now first to summarize this section again, that by going to the slides. So 64. Krishna excludes the non-devotees from the understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Only devotees should explain Krishna's message, and only to those who are willing to accept Krishna as a Supreme Lord. So that's the supreme, that is our order of Krishna, how to preach. So we must especially try to attract the persons who are receptive. That we know in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada went to India and he attracted the hippies. They were already renounced, but they had no purpose in life. But they didn't want the materialistic way of their parents. They gave it up. And they were good candidates. They were in a change of their life. So we have to see who is ready. People who are vegetarian, they are a little more pure or less contaminated than the others. They may also be interested. College students who are on the junction of their life, they want to know things and learn, may also be that, but the gross materialist that were very sinful, better to avoid them. But it's our duty to find out who is receptive and preach to them. But sometimes the devotee is more merciful to Krishna than Krishna. And therefore, sometimes he preaches even to the non-devotees, to give everyone a chance to become purified and also become Krishna's devotee. That's Krishna, they wants to become more merciful than Krishna, the devotees. So as Arjuna's guru, Krishna inquired whether Arjuna understood his instructions because he was ready to re-explain the whole Gita if Arjuna was still confused. He wanted to start over again. But Krishna, Arjuna was convinced. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm his servants, therefore he gave up his independent ideas and he agreed to act under Krishna's direction. Krishna showed him already how he killed already the other party through his universal form. So he was convinced. So Arjuna heard the Gita directly from Krishna, but we can hear it in the same way by hearing it from Krishna's devotee, the bona fide spiritual master. So by hearing Bhagavad Gita, we can experience Krishna's association, become increasingly enlightened and relish spiritual happiness at every moment. In answer to Dhritarashtra's question, Sanjay gave up his opinion that victory will be on the side. He gave his opinion, victory will be on the side of Arjuna and Krishna. So we have heard about the subject of Bhagavad Gita, and in the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada explains Asintya Veda Veda Tattva, philosophy of oneness and difference at the same time with the Supreme Lord. So that's the highest morality of Bhagavad Gita, surrender to Krishna. We can attain again a blissful position in the spiritual world. So then we have some quotes to end. I will go just shortly to a few of these last quotes that at the end are very long quotes. Can't read these long ones, but we can read a few. Preachers will be victorious. If the preachers in our Krishna conscious movement are sincere devotees of Krishna, Krishna will always be with them, because he's very kind and favorable to all these devotees. Just as Arjuna and Krishna were victorious at the Battle of Kurukshetra, this Krishna conscious movement will surely emerge victorious if we remain sincere devotees of the Lord and serve the Lord according to the advice of predecessors. the 6 Goswamis, and other devotees of the Lord. The whole battlefield became victorious because of Arjuna. That is wanted. A devotee must be there, and Krishna must be there. Then all opulences will come. That is a secret. Why should a devotee go to the forest to meditate or acquire some mystic power? It doesn't require anything if he always keeps Krishna with him. So, this is the end of our study of the Bhagavad Gita. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
To ask something practical in regards to like trying not to give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to atheists and so on and so on. Sometimes, let's say when we go outside on the street and we give like different advertising materials, and we put sometimes we put the names of Krishna on them, like Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or let's say Radha Govinda Mandir. So many of those materials, they will just go on the ground or in some garbage places. Is this a good idea? Can you comment on this?
Well, if the holy name is written on it, we should be careful that because that's Krishna himself. It's not good to get that on the ground. So it's important to be careful with that. If the holy name is not written on it, if it's an invitation or something, that's something else. But especially with the holy name, we should not put that on every paper. Usually devotees, they have cards, invitation cards with the holy names. And if you see that the person is really interested, you give the card. And you never know where these cards go. But its holy name is Krishna. It has his own life, like the books have his own life. That you give that book to a person, he looks interested, but he's not really interested. But he comes at home and puts somewhere, and another family member takes it and starts to read it and become a devotee. So Krishna has his purpose. But with the holy name, I would say be careful. That's Krishna himself. That's not good to get it on the street and everyone taps on it. That's what I would say. Is that now?
We have to be careful. Okay.
Yeah. Use our intelligence. And not do that without discrimination. We don't distribute mantra cards to the general public, but those who are interested.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So, anything else? Mother Pushpanjali, what is your experience with hearing Bhagavad Gita, these last 6 chapters you want to share?
Well, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I feel it. These last 6 chapters, I would say it's helping me to understand what our position is, knowing more who we are and what our relationship is to Krishna. I certainly will be reviewing this. I'm looking forward to reviewing everything all over again with fresh eyes, and having gone through this course now like this will help me to even, bring more clarity to what is in the Bhagavad Gita, and that's what I would say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
This last chapter is more a Gyan, but this Gyan, which is a very really supporting our practice of Bhakti. And but mostly because our heart is still contaminated, we hear it and we start to understand something, but we need to hear it again and again to get it deeper. And we will, next time we hear it, it will be fresh again because we see all new things. So I'm studying Bhagavad Gita for 35 years, and every year I'm going to the entire Gita practically, at least once. Mostly more times because I'm teaching Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita 2 to 3 times a year.
Wow!
And I'm still learning. So
yes,
still
so
getting deeper.
Would you say it's a continuous? It's like it doesn't end. It continues. It just the learning, and
it is spiritual. It means the experience is without ends, and the depth of Bhagavad Gita is no end. Because that you will find always other things. Every line of Bhagavad Gita, of the purport of Prabhupada, is so. Because I studied the whole Bhagavatam a few times, and then when you read Bhagavad Gita and you read these purports, you see that Prabhupada is practically repeating verses of the Bhagavatam, transliterating them. He's not inventing anything. It's all coming from the scriptures. He's just repeating it. Even the examples, analogies are from the Bhagavatam. It's so authoritative, Prabhupada's Prabhupada. That's very nice. And of course, in the Bhagavatam, it's explained more deeply. Good.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
So, Tulsi Prabhu will stop here.
I also want to express gratitude for all the time that you gave to us. 6 weeks you are teaching us. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, I tried my best. It was not easy because I'm traveling constantly. Because after this class, you have to run for another class.
Okay.
Here in Halifax, but I really did my best, and I hope devotees will hear the recordings also.
Yes, I'm sure devotees will benefited. Sorry that today we were less people. I guess it may be connected. There is some Ratha Yatra going on somewhere in New York. Maybe some of the devotees are there.
Yeah.
Not the big, but some other Ratha Yatra.
Good, I understand. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.